Alright, company's going to be over in about 6 minutes, so I figured this is the best time out of any to start up a Q&A. The first question we've got here is from M. Partrick. Never mind, I have a nasty tendency of mispronouncing things. So, his first question was, your philosophy on modern role models. Notice that role wasn't spelt with it R-O-L-E, it was in fact R-O-L-L. Just thought I would point that out. I love pointing out people's misspellings within their questions. But my philosophy on modern role models, it depends on what modern role model you're looking at. I don't think a lot of our young role models for young girls are particularly appropriate, considering the fact that they all seem to be pretty much oversexed young teen rock stars, which I hate that sort of thing. You can argue that Miley Cyrus certainly isn't oversexed and that she's an okay role model. But for me, what happened to the... actually, throughout history, there haven't been that many. But how many... We need some really strong female figures in our society that will be able to appeal to young girls. It seems to me that the message that we're sending across to them is that they need to become as pretty as possible, wear as much makeup as possible, and most importantly, become as sexy as possible in order to maintain this sort of status quo that society has kind of pushed on them. And I feel that's sort of wrong. I mean, you look at certainly Paris Hilton isn't a role model, but she's in the public light a lot, and I can understand why young girls would sort of get a wrong impression from her on what exactly females are supposed to act like. It's just a sad, sad situation. In fiction, there are a lot of stronger role models, except if you take the most popular piece of literature right now, which is Stephanie Meyers' Twilight series, oh my god, Bella. Bella is the worst role model for little girls I have ever seen. And the books are meant for teenagers. But still, she's an obsessive lover who's pretty much all she can think about is Edward. And she, in fact, manipulates another boy when Edward is gone, and the other boy falls in love with her, and she's like, no, I was in love with Edward the whole time, even though she nearly kissed the guy and was pretty much using him because she was lonely. How sick is that? Are we sending across good messages here with this particular character? She's even nearly suicidal, just so she can see visions of Edward. If you watch New Moon, she becomes an adrenaline junkie, because the only time she gets to even have any sort of communication with Edward is if she's in grave peril, in which case this ghost comes up and is like, Bella, don't act like a dumbass. Bella, don't do this. Bella, don't do that. Bella, use the two-ply. That was a quote from Spill, by the way. But when you look at it, her as a character, like if I were in charge of Twilight, if I had been in charge of writing it, I would have made her much more interesting, much more complex, much more just a genuinely layered character. In Stephanie Meyers' vision of, I guess, the vampire romance, the main human character needs to be as needy and as reliant on the male vampire as humanly possible. It just doesn't make for a good story, and it doesn't make for a good role model figure either. Now, opposed to Nausicaa. Nausicaa from Hayao Miyazaki's film, Nausicaa, the Valley of the Wind, she is an awesome role model. I remember finishing that movie and going, wow, we need more characters like this for young girls to be able to look up to. But that's just my personal swing on that. What is your favorite Studio Ghibli film? This was his second question. Honestly, I can't choose my favorite Studio Ghibli film. I love them all so much. I love Princess Mononoke. I love the most recent one, Ponyo. I love Nausicaa, the Valley of the Wind. In fact, right now I'd probably have to say Nausicaa is my favorite, just because of the fact that that was probably the most recent one I've watched besides Ponyo. And the most recent time I watched it, it had a really big effect on me. I actually ended up looking at life from a slightly different perspective after I watched the film. Sounds a little bit extreme, but her viewpoints on life in general and her viewpoints on war and violence, I think it's so inspiring, and it's so different compared to most films. You have Nausicaa, who's unwilling to kill even people she condones as being in the wrong. Even in war, she's unwilling to kill. And she looks down upon anybody on either side that is willing to kill for their cause. how different is that from like Luke Skywalker or any other character who pretty much throughout the entire course of a movie pretty much kills troops of the opposite side continuously all over the place. Nausicaa, on the other hand, represses herself. She knows that there has to be another way around the issue. And that is what makes her unique. Entirely unique. Wonderful, beautiful woman. Number 3. Why is a raven like a writing desk? I don't know! Or nor do I care. I have no idea how to answer this one since I'm not an Alice in Wonderland freak, so I can't really put 2 and 2 together and come up with some kind of clever response other than the fact that Haruhi made it so. Because any other question that doesn't make sense, I'm just going to say, well, Haruhi made it that way because she is a goddess. Okay, now this is an interesting one. Broken FWD asks, if you were given a notice that from the instant you read this message, let's change it to the instant you read this for the Q&A, that the poison the government gave you will take you in 24 hours and you will die. Your family will still get your life insurance, but any crimes or things that would cause you to be charged and all your debts will go to your family. What would you do with the last 24 hours of your life? What I think is so hilarious about this one is that I didn't even think about, like, oh my god, I only have 24 hours left. What kind of super awesome things am I going to do? Actually, I would spend the last 24 hours of my life with my family, most likely. I would be in such a comatose kind of state from the mere shock that I was going to die in 24 hours that I don't think I would even, go out and do anything. Most likely, okay, if I knew I was going to die within 24 hours, was absolutely certain, I would probably go out and find one of my best gal friends and be like, hey, I still have yet to become intimate, and, I'm going to die in 24 hours. If you're willing to offer that, that's cool. That sounds twisted and sick, but if you're going to die in 24 hours, why not? I mean, if I haven't experienced that yet, I want to experience it. And amongst other things, if this is within the same 24 hours, I'd probably go online and see what kind of movie has gotten great reviews, because I love going to the movies, and I want to spend the last 24 hours going to see a really good movie. And hopefully it doesn't suck. That would be like a really bad note, like I went to go see Alice in Wonderland or something, and I'm like, son of a bitch! Why did I waste like 2 hours of the last 24 hours of my life watching Alice in Wonderland? I'd probably end up going on Facebook or MySpace and going through my friends' contact list on my phone, telling everybody how much they meant to me and how I'm going to miss them when I'm gone. And, the government has given me this poison, and I wish I had known why, but really, I just don't know. It's kind of sad, really, when I think about it, what I would end up doing. Probably go to Disneyland. I would love to die at Disneyland. Quite literally at Disneyland. Hopefully it's like when the Wonderful World of Color show comes on, because that's what they're building now, and I want to see that. And that'd be a perfect way to go, is just seeing that with my best buddy who had been looking forward to it, and I could just pass out as the water goes up. I'm going to be like, this is the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. Color! And just, die. That'd be brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. So, but my answers may seem a little bit boring because, honestly, well, they are. I'm kind of a boring person. I wouldn't go out and, murder somebody who I wanted to take revenge on or anything like that. Because, really, I don't believe in doing criminal acts, even if you're not going to end up taking any blame for them because you're going to die. So I'm not going to, go out on a killing spree or anything. No. Absolutely not. I'm going to try and spread as much love as I possibly can to as many people as I can. That way I can basically say, yeah, you know what, remember me for being a nice guy rather than being a psychopathic, kind of guy within my last 24 hours. But then again, I'm probably going to just be crying the whole time because I'm such a wimp. It's probably going to be, not going to be able to do anything cool because I'll just be like, last 24 hours. Oh, I never got to make that manga I wanted to. This is MPig, and I am signing out. Just thinking about what I would do with the last 24 hours of my life is going to make me depressed. Need to play Sacred now. Woo! Level up and level horror. That's the way to get your mind off things.